Hello everyone, welcome to Exam Mein Dosti YouTube channel. In this video, we will going to discuss about Mulki movement, emergence of Mulki movement, its cause and pros. Emergence of Mulki movement. One of the prominent issue faced by Telangana region was the expected conflict between Mulkis and non-Mulkis. Mulki is a Urdu word and means countrymen. The origin of Mulki issue can be traced to the migration of Muslims to the Deccan Plateau during the medieval period. The first wave of Muslim migrants came to Deccan Plateau in 14th century and called themselves Mulkis or Deccanis. The next wave of Muslim migration took place during the rule of the Bahmanis and they were called as Ghair Mulkis or Afghis, non-local or foreigner. The third ruler of Bahmanis, Ahmad Shah, appointed Muhammad Gawan as his prime minister, who himself was an Afghi. Muhammad Gawan is known for his great reforms and appointed of Afghis in prominent posts. In the course of time, these Afghis or Ghair Mulkis became strong socially and financially, denying the authority and privileges for Mulkis. This led to the conflict between Deccanese Mulkis and Afghis, non-Mulkis or Ghair Mulkis. The continuous struggle between Mulkis and non-Mulkis was a prominent reason for the downfall of Bahmani Sultanate in 1527. Mulki struggle under Qutub Shahis. After the disintegration of the Bahmani Sultanate, Quli Qutub Shah established Qutub Shahi dynasty. Even though Qutub Shahis are also Afghis, non-locals, they were conscious about the Mulki struggles being one of the key reasons for the disintegration of Bahmani Empire. During their region of almost 200 years, there were no traces of any Mulki struggle during their time. All the Qutub Shahi rulers were tolerant, liberal, and offered important roles to Mulkis. They also patronized Telugu language and promoted Telugu literature immensely. Abdul Hasan Tanisha, the last Qutub Shahi ruler, appointed Mulkis in important positions. Example, Akkanna employed as Peshwar and Madanna was appointed as Mahamantri. Mulki struggle during Asaf Jahis. In 1724, Nizam ul Mulk Mir Kumuruddin Siddagi established Asaf Jahi dynasty. Appointment of non-Mulkis in important positions during Nizam rule intensified the age-old issue of Mulki and non-Mulki struggle. Nizam's decision to oppress local culture and denial of covenant positions to local enraged the Mulkis and led to the emergence of Deccani nationalisms. Emergence of Deccani nationalism can be seen as one of the prominent reasons for Mulki movements. A British historian named Karen Leonard discussed this Mulki issue in three phases in his book, Hyderabad Mulki and Non-Mulki Conflict. First phase, from 1853 to 1883, and second phase, 1884 to 1911. Third phase, 1911 to 1948. First phase, 1853 and 1883. Before Salarjung I became the PM of Hyderabad state, non-Mulkis were employed in the Hyderabad state largely based on the recommendation of the British resident. However, the number of such employees was very limited. Salarjung I was appointed as the Diwan or PM of the Hyderabad state in 1853. At that time, the Hyderabad state was in severe financial crisis with too many debts. Salarjung I assessed the entire situation and introduced a lot of administrative and revenue reforms. However, these reforms were largely influenced by the administrative system adopted by the Britishers. In order to implement these reforms, people trained under the British government or people who had access to the Western education were required. However, the literary race rate in Hyderabad state at that time was less than 5%. Also, the Hyderabad state followed a conservative system of education in which the medium of instruction was Persian. Because of all these reasons, Salarjung I had to recruit non-Mulkis to implement his administrative reforms. Most of the non-Mulkis recruited by Salarjung I were from the Madras and Bombay presidencies. Non-Mulkis were also recruited from amongst the graduates of Aligarh Muslim University. With the appointment of non-Mulkis in government services, a new level or class of people belonging to the Western education communities emerged in the Hyderabad society and started influencing the conventional and conservative Hyderabad culture. Also, the non-Mulkis employees slowly started to ascertain their power over the Nawabs and Jagirdars. They also created a number of unnecessary posts within the government services and started recruiting their own people for these posts. This increased the number of non-Mulkis in public services, and the increase was pursued as the threat by the Mulkis. Salarjung I realized the impact of non-Mulkis on the Hyderabad state, and in order to prevent any resentment from the Mulkis, he took the following measures. He clearly demarcated the political affairs from the administrative affairs and restricted non-Mulkis to the administrative sphere by ensuring that only Mulkis from the Hyderabad state held a key post in the political affairs of the state. He himself identified educated young men from noble families and appointed them as ministers. The non-Mulkis employees had to work under the supervision of these ministers. He continued employment of Mulkis along with non-Mulkis under the state. All Mulkis were posted under the Munsip department and were designated as irregular forces. Salarjung I rejected the demand of non-Mulkis to replace the official language of the state, Persian, with Urdu. The non-Mulkis were employed on a salary basis. No inams in the form of jagirs, pensions, and so on, and titles could be conferred on the non-Mulkis. Along with the above state measures, Salarjung I also started concentrating on increasing Mulki representation in public employment by focusing on education and training. Salarjung I introduced modern education by establishing various educational institutions. Prominent among them were, in 1856, Darul Ulam Oriental College was established to impart English education. It was affiliated with Punjab University. In 1873, Madras-e-Aliyah was established to impart English education to the children of noble families. In 1873, Madrasi-Azia was established to impart English education to the children of the Mulki employees, the residents of the old city, and other important persons in the state. Second phase, from 1883 to 1911. With the death of Salarjung I in 1883, the situation in the Hyderabad state became volatile and the Nizams was still in a minor. From 1883 to 1884, the Council of Regency ruled Hyderabad, after which a new PM was to be appointed. The non-Mulkis and British government strongly supported the candidates of Mir Lakhu Ali Khan, son of Salarjung I, for the post of Prime Minister. Mir Ali Khan has conferred the title Salarjung II on 31st October 1883 and was appointed as the PM on 5th February 1884. During 1883 and 1884, the non-Mulki could get into direct contact with the Nizam and slowly started gaining political influence. Salarjung II took the following measures which caused widespread discontentment among the Mulkis. He replaced Persian with Lucknow Urdu as the official language of the state. On 21st February 1884, he also ensured that Urdu completely replaced the Persian language in the administrative and judicial departments within 2 years. Unlike his father Salarjung too encouraged the appointment of non-mulkis into government services. Most of his personal staff were also non-mulkis. He had one North Indian Muslim and one European as his personal secretaries. This clearly indicated that Salarjung too preferred non-mulkis over mulkis. Salarjung I accommodated the non-mulkis without dismissing the mulkis. The mulkis were working under the Munship department and were managing the affairs of the Nizam estate. However, Salarjung too merged the Munship department with the Accountant General's office and constituted a separate board to manage the affairs of the Nizam estate. In addition to all the above changes, the non-mulkis projected their children as mulkis and got them appointed government jobs. The actions of Salarjung too, most importantly the change in the official language, resulted in widespread discontentment among the mulkis. The sixth Nizam, on being informed about the growing discontentment among mulkis against the then PM Salarjung too, ordered for a record of recruitment into the Hyderabad state civil services. The first civil services recruitment in the Hyderabad state took place in 1884, and the Nizam asked for the details of this recruitment in 1886. Employees Civil List 1886. Out of the 476 appointments, 230 were non-mulkis with 58% of salaries, and 246 were mulkis with 42% of salaries. This is the first recorded information of recruitment based on educational qualifications. North Indian Hindustani Muslims, Madrasis and Britishers occupied the highest number of posts amongst the non-mulkis. On the basis of this information, the Nizam issued clear instructions for the appointment and training of mulkis in various administrative departments in Hyderabad. However, this was not properly implemented. The sixth Nizam, in order to verify whether his instructions were being implemented or not, asked for a list of employees appointed under various departments from October 1887. Out of 421 appointments made, mulkis and non-mulkis were like this: mulkis 274 and non-mulkis 147. 65% of the mulkis employment and 35% from non-mulkis. 37% salaries for mulkis and 63% were from non-mulkis. In order to pacify the mulkis, Salarjung too was asked to resign as the PM in April 1887. For almost a year, the Nizam himself managed the state without a PM. In order to favor the mulkis, on the basis of the facts obtained, the Nizam released an order on appointment in public employment in 1888. 1888 Gazette Jarida. Sixth Nizam Mehboob Ali Khan released a gazette in 1888 on appointments in civil services. According to this gazette, the word mulki was used for the first time. Persons who are residing in Hyderabad state for at least 12 years will be considered as mulkis. Fill the government post in Nizam state with mulkis only based on their merit. No interference of non-mulkis in these appointments. Non-mulkis have to take special permission from the Diwan to get into a position. Though the Nizam himself made a special focus on this mulki recruitment, these guidelines were hardly followed by the administration. Employees Civil List 1894 demonstrated the continuing tradition of non-mulki domination in Hyderabad state. Employees Civil List 1894. Out of the 680 people employed, mulkis were 233 and non-mulkis were 447. Hindus only 63. Mulki Hindus only 20. This discrimination against Hindu communities also escalated Hindu Muslim communal clashes. Maharaja Kishan Prasad, appointed as Hyderabad Diwan in 1901, he was a Hindu Mulki, pledged to check the dominance of non Mulkis. His finance minister George Kassan Walker stood by non Mulkis and criticized Mulkis as second class citizens or uncivilized. This statement by George Sesson Walker resulted in a direct clash between Mulkis and non Mulkis. Law and order of the state disturbed drastically. Kisan Walker was later removed from his post by the 7th Nizam, Mir Usman Ali Khan. This made the Nizam government to release a public notification in 1910. Kishan Prasad worked immensely to uphold the rights of Mulkis, and he is therefore referred as godfather of Mulki movement. According to 1910 notification, appointments of non-Mulkis should be considered temporary against the permanent jobs of Mulkis. Recruitment to the civil services only through a written exam. Non-Mulkis shouldn't be appointed in those positions wherein Mulkis have sufficient qualification to be appointed. Role of newspapers and journals. Many journals and newspapers played a very important role in bringing the issues faced by the Mulkis to the limelight. Hyderabad recorded used to publish news in favor of Mulki rights. Another journal named Ilahi Baksha, which was in favor of non-Mulkis, questioned where someone can find a intellectual Mulki who can lead the administration of Hyderabad state. Another journal named the Muhammadin stated that the non-Mulkis are descendants of the people who were invited by Salarjung I for second sound administration. Third phase 1911 to 1948. After the death of Mir Mehboob Ali Khan in 1911, the 7th Nizam Mir Usman Ali Khan became the next ruler of Hyderabad state. With the recommendation of Educational Conference, he established Usmania University in 1918. The medium of instruction in Usmania University, Urdu. Even the academic textbooks were published in Urdu language. However, many non-Mulkis in the translation department of Usmania University used Lakshnavi Urdu of North India instead of Deccani Urdu, which is spoken by local people of Hyderabad state. The issue of language escalated the Mulkis and non-Mulkis struggle during the period of 7th Nizam. Even the curriculum of Usmania University, where most of the Mulki students pursue their education, was prepared by non-Mulkis, only to impart basic education but not the skills required to become a good administrators. This is the reason why Usmania University was successful in producing educated citizens but failed to make them as efficient administrators. However, Nizam College, where most of the students are non-Mulkis, continued English as its medium of instruction and was able to produce good officers. The disparity in academic qualification and skills imparted among Mulkis and non-Mulkis students resulted in a widespread dissent among Mulkis. As a result of this struggle between Mulkis and non-Mulkis, two important theories, Deccani synthesis and Deccani nationalism and Muslim sovereignty, emerged during the third phase of Mulki issues. Reasons for evolution of Deccani synthesis. Adoption of Lucknow Urdu as a medium of instruction in the OU was the immediate cause for the conceptualization of this ideology. Continuous deprivation in matter of employment and dominance of non-Mulkis over Mulkis are other cases that strengthened this ideology. This principle was conceptualized under the leadership of Dr. Jorde, who worked as translator in Urdu department of OU. This ideology was based on the Hindu Muslim culture of the Hyderabad state and was supported by the Mulkis, both Hindus and Muslims. The Mulki scholars supported this ideology, established a library called Idara-e Adabiyat I Urdu in 1930. It was also called as Awani Urdu. The library gathered and published information related to Deccani nationalism and played a crucial role in promoting the department of Mulkis without any bias to any religion or community. The leaders of this ideology raised a slogan, Long live the Nizam, the royal embodiment of Deccani nationalism. Muslim sovereignty. This ideology emerged against the ideology of Deccani nationalism. It was initially proposed by Professor of Islamic Ideology OU Mulvi Abdul Khadir Siddiqui and supported by non-Mulkis only. However, the dominance of Muslims in this field of education and public employment and resistance of Hindus to this domination gradually resulted in Muslims Mulkis supported the ideology. This ideology over a period of time changed the direction of Mulkis and non-Mulkis issue by giving it a communal color. The ideology of Muslim sovereignty formed the basis for the actions of the Rajakars. The slogan of Anal Malik, I am the king, is associated with this ideology.